You there?
I am.
All right. Let's take a look at your screen.
Oh, I didn't hear you at all.
Oh, you did not. All
No.
right. Let me redo the disclaimer. Hold on. All right. There's a shared disclaimer. Please be aware that neither Market Chameleon, Ryan, or myself are registered investment advisors or a broker dealer. If you're searching for investment advice, please reach out to a licensed professional. This webinar, as all our webinars and shows, are for informational purposes only concerning Market Chameleon and OptionsRobot tools and products. With that, last look at the disclaimer for a second time, and let's look at Ryan's screen. And there's the Market Chameleon homepage. How are you doing, Ryan?
Good. How are you?
Great.
So yeah, I mean it's been a decent market. I mean, let's just kind of quickly go back over to some of the charts and see. Whoops, some of the charts here, and look at a couple things in here. Let's see. I'm gonna stop that and bring this up. So let's just do something like the Qs and just show like how strong this has been. I mean, yeah, red candle today. It's not great where how we finished, but for the most part, we've had a good run over the past couple of weeks. We are a golf shot away from the all-time high, right? So that's a good sign. You look over at the SPY, and we're right there as well. So again, you're comparing yourselves back here to October 29th. We did make what's the high here? The high was 688.39. Back here was 689.70. So pretty good run here. This was Friday's push, and here's today. So you look at IWM, gave a little bit back here today. They gapped it up, sold back into this thing. So you look at maybe the diamonds. Again, everyone's going to have their own personal preference of which ETF they like to play in. Aggregated names. I tend to fall under the Qs. A lot more of the tech, a lot more action, a lot more movement. So that's kind of the way I like to kind of lean. Now, diving into some of the stuff that's moving in this market, and just to kind of come back, we have had some of the financials really go nuts this past, let's say, couple of days. Goldman Sachs with a follow through here today. Morgan Stanley kind of following suit. You had JP Morgan, a little bit of a laggard, was kind of just has not able to get out of its own way. I would say Citibank or Citigroup, whatever they are called now, and then maybe even a UBS was kind of on the top of my list there. So UBS really kind of jumped out to me today. I had a subscriber pull this up and say, hey, this is one that I want to look at a little bit more in detail. So we walk through this. But then you have other names that just aren't doing much at all in terms of the banks, and you kind of just want to steer clear from them. I mean, like a Bank of America, the JP Morgan, just kind of lingering here, not doing too much. Visa and MasterCard were pretty ugly, big red candles in both of those. You had Capital One, and I don't know why or what's going on here, but this one just absolutely has just been crushing it. So that is a name that I would put on my radar. Again, it's overbought, so it's one you're probably not going to stay in, for another 6 months, but it may continue a little bit of a run here because I just showed you the Visa, MasterCard, American Express. Everything else is kind of rolling over. Feels like maybe it wants to. Again, we saw that little bit of a red candle here today. Maybe a signal to the downside if we start to take out lows that maybe the run is over. So maybe that's something you want to keep an eye on there. In terms of just looking, crude was not doing too much today. You look at XOM, kind of sideways. You had a Chevron really not doing much, maybe more towards the downside. I would say, even the cybersecurities like PANW had a big red candle. So big reversal, that's a bearish engulfing candle. Typically you'd say, I want a little more confirmation, maybe a follow through tomorrow. Maybe that's something you want to jump on. Crowd didn't do much at all, kind of sat here idle. And Zscaler, after getting beaten down, this has had this kind of curving bottom, tried to get a little run up today, and they sold back into it. So maybe if you start to see a little bit of action in something like Zscaler, I'd maybe say something like the high there, take that out. That could be one that you want to keep an eye on. The other one in that space is Cloudflare. That's just not really doing much. Had a decent green day today compared to PNW and CrowdStrike, but really not able to get out of its own way. I'd probably want to wait till maybe the high from back here, take that out, and start to see a little bit more growth in the price appreciation there. So those are a couple different sectors to look at. Obviously, one of the hottest sectors is your chips, and the hottest stock at the moment in there was AVGO. AVGO gapped up this morning on doing or potentially doing a deal with Microsoft. Microsoft pulling business away from Marvell. So Marvell was down big. and AVGO was up. Another one that benefited from that is Taiwan Semi, because Taiwan Semi does most of AVGO's kind of foundry work, at least to my understanding. I know AVGO kind of adds some of the stuff on top of it to make it work. So, but Taiwan Semi still the beneficiary there from that. Now, they all look good, right? The one I thought was a little bit more of a laggard was this NVIDIA, the biggest one. Just can't get out of its own way. Got to the 50-day, that orange line there, and sold back off. So we're kind of watching that in terms of seeing what it can do here. So let's look for some ideas in here and go back to. And I'll tell you what, I was looking at this today. I was watching a video of Dimitri talking about how to find opportunities, and there's just so many ways to do it on here. And the one he was talking about today, I think it was this morning, I think the video was from this morning, he was talking about a burst trade and stock volume being purchased in a burst at the, again, based off of VWAP. I go back and watch that video. I think it was awesome. So this is, again, just going through this is the unusual options where I do a lot of work during the day. And when you aggregate it and look at total volume, Netflix, again, coming out one of the bigger winners here in terms of this is your options volume total. Netflix in the news, and this is one I like. So again, I think you can dial into this one a little bit more. Again, I don't really want to go through all the strikes. You can look at, again, I'm not worried about earnings. You can get, and there's so much stuff in this platform. I can't even do it justice by really diving into any of it. But what I do want to do is just show it on the chart, because if you go over something like Netflix, it's gotten beaten down because of the deal. And whether it's too far, too fast, whether they don't get the stock, I think either way, they're getting punished right now. And I think the stock's going to get some type of a rally coming out of this. I just don't know when. So for me, I'd want to be looking at something like a bull position. I'm not necessarily worried about playing this to the bear side, because this is just a awesome stock. Yeah, it's getting punished here in the last couple of months, but again, I think from post split, it typically will happen. So I'm looking for any type of rally out of this, any type of positive news. I would probably use something like the high of the day. Right now, that's 99.82, and say if we can get through there, maybe you want to wait till the close. I'll just do a quick entry on this one. So do an entry bot and say if we can get above, so let's say that high, and I'm going to say 99. I'm just going to, I'm going to use a flat 100. So let me get back through the 100 marker, and I'm going to add an option, and I'm just going to buy basically your 100. So if I get up there, I want to buy the 100 strike. I'm going to do this for quick, and that allows me to do a price slice in there, and I'm going to click create on this. So that created my virtual position. What does that mean? Basically, it's going to wait until I have reached that configuration, get above 100, then it's going to put the order in and place that order. It's going to try to work the bid-ask spread for me when it gets there. Now that I have a virtual position, you can decline this, or you can go and say, all right, I want to go make my own. But what that is, this is basically a template. So if I want to do this for the day, for the week, for the month, depending on my time frame, I can do any number of types of strategies for a long call spread, different types of things. Now, I had this in here that I want to roll this. Let's see, I'm going to do 2 rolls in an exit. So what that's going to do is build my exit template. The exit template will come in. Let me just show you what it does. So if I get into my 100 call, this is basically going to say if the stock moves up by $2, I'm going to roll. If the option price loses more than 30%, I'm going to get out of it. So I would end the entire position. You can see how I trail and come down into, right? So if this one's successful, it will drop into this box. So if it drops in this box, I either have a gain or a loss. And if it drops in this box, I will exit or I will have a loss. So as I'm working my way up, basically these orders are already set up and ready to go. And I did that with 1 click, right? I put in 6 orders with 1 click, something you can't do on any other platform. So let's come back over. Let's get out of Netflix. Let's come back over through here, see if there's anything else that really jumps out. And again, if you guys have questions, please feel free to post them in here and we'll try to get to them. Stocks you want to look at, or other stocks that you are on your radar, or questions that you have, please feel free to post them in. I'll try to get to them towards the end here. So let's come back out of this. And, I was looking through the homepage here, And where did I go? Did I go to, I think I went to down in here. I was looking at some of these different just things that you can look at. One of them was Oracle. And I started looking through Oracle and I saw this this sentiment that came in, 50,000 for a bullish sentiment. So you start to, again, there's so much information that you start to see. Net option delta basically came in 60,000. That's why the stock's been moving up. So this would be one I would definitely start to keep an eye on as well. I think it's made a pretty good run. Here's your deltas by strike, percent away from spot. Here's the deltas on by the days to expiration. So you're just getting so much information in here in terms of how the deltas started to play out. They've been very bearish. Now they're starting a little percolation towards bullish, almost a consolidation here of how this could start to move. Now, again, how do you look at Oracle? Now, one thing I do want to show, one little thing that we did was create the ability for you to right click, and it's not fully integrated. We're not integrated with Market Chameleon, but this is something you can do pretty much on any site. So you can come down here, do a right click, and I can come over to my chart. So basically this will pull up the chart right now. Oh, and automatically load up Oracle and be ready to go. So then I could then say, all right, I want to trade Oracle. So Oracle, if you continue to see bullish sentiment, again, there's a Netflix, Warner Brothers, Oracle relations, because Oracle is Larry Ellison is the father to the CEO of Paramount. So the combo there is they're getting some, maybe some love out of an Oracle and their debt, right? Do they really have it? But they do have commitments from other people. So Oracle, I still think this could rally when people start to realize this, that maybe it's not all Oracle, it's not their debt. Is this something you want to look at, but especially with that bullish sentiment? So something like this, I'd probably put a trade entry bond in and say if this thing goes back above the high, that high right now is 224.75. So let's just use that and say Oracle. If we get greater than that, I'm going to say 225 to make it real simple. Buy an option, keep it straightforward, and I'm going to go 225 right up there, basically specific strike. And I'm going to do a quick entry on that, and then I'll click create. Sorry about that. And then I'm going to use roughly the same thing. So I can use any one of these if I want to, but I'll use the 2 rolls in next. This is $4. I'm going to stick with the 2. I have another one, I think, for 3. And I think what you want to look at for that is when you start to look at your chart, you start to look at your ATR, this is moving about $10 a day. So how many rolls would you want to look at? Do I want to roll once a day? Do I want to roll twice a day? Right? So for me, I probably want to roll in something like that scenario. If I can get up $3, I want to lock in profit. So for something like this, there's no guarantee I'm going to get 3 full rolls in it, but I'd probably lean with something like the, let's see, Oracle. Where did my Oracle go? Down here. So if I go to Oracle and I click, again, so there's nothing here. So I have no other positions put in except for this virtual position. So if I click all the way over, I'm going to use the $3 one. I think this is 3 here. And all I do is click apply. Now I have, again, a bunch of different trades that are put in, bullish and bearish. So now this is saying if I move up by $3, I would roll my option up. If I drop by 30%, $3, 30%, and keeps working my order down. So I have 6 orders in one click, something, again, you can't do on any other platform. Now, I saw a couple names that I want to kind of come back into here and look a little bit differently. So let's go back to stocks. And I want to come down into some of the bigger volume today. Google was one that had a very ugly looking drop today. Amazon, I think, could be a candidate. Obviously, AVGO had really, really good volume as well. Tesla had gotten hit pretty hard, right? That was down substantial here today. Walmart got hit a little bit. Lilly keeps dropping. So these are all those big names that, again, I think you want to keep on your radar. NVIDIA is the big dog, right? It's just absolutely insane how much it trades. 180 million on average, which is crazy. But Google could be one you want to keep on your radar because Google's kind of sneaky in terms of, and again, if I just go over here, whoops, make this real quick for me, I don't have to retype it, right click, come over and do my chart. And what I can do is you look at the chart and you're like, why are we just sitting here idle? This close was actually lower than these lows, right? So then you have, I don't think I'm doing justice for you on this chart in terms of scaling, because this is, I think, just to kind of show you how big these moves are. This is an $8 move, right? This is going from, call it 320 to 313. The low here was down around 311. So that's a very big move and a great recovery. Now, this is a trade that you're talking about momentum. I could go either direction. So I'm indifferent. I don't care. I'm not really worried about which direction it goes, but I want to have the right position on. So for me, I'd probably be bearish, right? If it starts to take out the low, I don't have much really below it as support. I got a big gap up low right there. That low's 309.60. Then I have probably the high here as my next target. And then I have probably maybe the high and then the close as my next couple of targets. Now, on the flip side, where would you want to get long, right? This thing starts to turn and go back up. We know this thing can be awesome tomorrow. They come in and are bullish in the market. We know they need this to really rally. So something like a Google, you could talk me into getting into Google, maybe back above that close there, 317.62, playing for the open, playing for the close, playing for the open up in here, right? This thing could be pretty awesome back to the upside. Now, again, you're getting on average about $9 of movement. And what I like to see is about a 2-to-1 ratio. Now, $9 of movement, how much do you want to pay for your options? So if you say I want 2-to-1, I want to get at least $2 of movement for every $1 of my option. So if I can get $2, if I divide my nine, call it 950 in half, right? What am I getting? I'm going to get 450, 4 and change. So if I go over to my options, and let's just look at just the options on the chains, and I say, well, what are my options worth? Am I getting good value here? Well, if I look at my call side right now, again, I'm trading at 313. My 315s slightly out of the money, or my 312s. Maybe the 312s are a little bit more expensive, but they're $1 in the money. So if I take out some of that movement, right, obviously it's going to be a higher delta, maybe a little higher, like 55 delta. Well, let me just check. There you go, 55, 50, 56 delta. So if I take $1 out of it, it's going to be roughly $5. So still maybe a little bit higher than I would like to pay. Or I just play, if I'm trying to keep my options under a certain price, maybe I just play the 315s. So again, I can do this in a variety of different ways. If I just want to go out and say I want to buy these, I could say I just want to buy it. I want to do a custom. I want to say a specific price. I like to use the entry bot because it gives me that control to be able to get into a trade and know that I'm actually moving above. Versus now, if I'm live in the market during the day, I can say I'm just going to go buy, right? I'm just going to go buy something custom, or I'm going to play the mid market and just say, get me in at mid market and work my way up in terms of that while the market is moving. So when we look at something like that, this could be one I think looks very interesting on either side of this. So I'm not going to put these trades in because I think you guys have gotten the gist of a bull and a bear. But I would say on the bear side of this, again, from the value here, if I wanted to play those 312 puts for $4, I'm getting $9 of movement. And why I like that, just to do the math real quick, if you say, an at the money option is going to be moving at 50 delta. So every dollar should be making 50 cents. So if I get roughly $8 of movement, I should be able to get, right, in terms of you do 8 times, half of that, it's $4 of movement. So that means my option should be moving up roughly $4 at 100% return. So if I can keep that ratio somewhere alive, that I can potentially get 100% return in a day, I really like to be in an option that's well priced. So I could be looking at an option to the downside there. And then again, I would probably just put some, again, because it's probably like a $9 ATR, like we said, I'd probably use that $3 move, use every $3, roll my options. And again, the options are pretty tight, so I'll be able to get in and get out of these things pretty quickly. So Will, I see you on screen. You got some questions?
Yeah, we do. First, Jim is asking about what a quick trade is. I guess it shows up as one of your templates.
So so quick, when I go to enter, let me just go back over here and do this setting right here. So trade settings. So what it is, it's basically a smart order. And when I want to select, again, you can do that. So I can select quick here. or I can select slow. So you can see what this is place order 5 times for every 15 seconds. So if I divide my bid-ask spread up, so it really works well on wide bid-ask spreads. Some of the illiquid options doesn't work as well when you have something like a QQQ where you are, 3, 4, 5 cents wide. Doesn't really make sense to do it there. But you have some of these other ones with 30, 40 cents wide, and I can start at the mid market or start at, again, I think you can go down here a little bit. You can say, where do you want to start on this? So if I want to start at the mid and then work my way up to get to market price, I'm usually getting a better price fill. So what I typically do is a little bit behind. Whoops, I want to do it probably right about there, right? Start there if it lets me. Nope, it's not letting me. So right about there. And if I start at mid and then work my way up, I'm getting a better fill than the market price. So this way, I'm not always going in and buying at market. I will get to market at some point, but again, depending on which I'm using, slow, quick, or default. So my default is 5 in every 7 seconds. My quick is 3, so I'm only having 3 things in here. So I could say 1, 2, 3 basically puts me at market. Or if I wanted to go wider stances, or if I want to be, maybe 4 or 5, right? It's basically just divvying it up. So it's really allowing me to capture better entry levels and exit levels versus just being in the market and say, I want to go bid. Or the time savings, because for me, if I'm doing 5 other things or I'm looking at something else, the last thing I want to do is have to monitor kind of slicing down on a spread I'm trying to work out. It's time consuming. So that's why we built this, that again, just to give you the ability to get into trades and get out of trades at slightly better prices than you would be able to normally. I mean, you could do it by yourself and manage it and say, I'm going to go in and do this every 20 seconds. I'm going to lower my price because I'm not getting filled. So I'm going to lower it down, or I'm going to raise it up depending on which side you're on. So hopefully that helps answer in terms of the quick.
That is helpful. Jim says thanks. He did have a couple questions about some stocks too. Can I ask him? Do I have time?
Sure.
We got like 7 minutes. First one was DGII.
DGII. So let's look at those real quick. So DGII. And I think it looks great. I mean, the stock's been off on an absolute tear. Now, what I like to do, first thing I do on a stock that I don't really know that well, is I want to come back and look at the history. Now, so I can go back, again, every system's a little bit different. So this is going back into 2010. So the stock's done very, very well. You're sitting at, I don't know if it's all-time highs, but you're sitting at really good levels, really starting to rock and roll. Again, I would probably stay in this one. If you're in it, I would probably stay in it. I would just consider rolling, right, in terms of continue to rock and roll. Now, if I'm going to get in, right, your ATR is about only $1.74. So you're not moving like, some of the other bigger names, but it's been pretty consistent. So I like that it's above the high. So what I would typically do is probably a Fibonacci on here and to give you some levels. And let's see, I got to go back in. Rather than me waste time on that, let's see, Fibonacci tools. I got to go back over and see if I can find some. No, I don't want the speed span. I don't want time based. I got to find the right one. Time zone. It's in here. I've used it before. Not this. I'll have to go back and look for you for that one because there it is, right at the top. I'm looking at it and going. So let's see. I want to go. Nope, that's not the right one. That's giving me a retracement. I want the extensions. I'm sorry. I apologize. Give me 1 second. I thought I was in the right spot. I want the. Is that the right one? So here, let's see if I can do this. There we go. That's better. So I'm going to do something like that just so you can see it. So this will be my next couple levels. So this is basically just using the price pattern, and I'm using the low. So I'm going from a low to a high back to, I'm using this low, I'm just spreading it out so you can kind of see where this could potentially get to. So then you're getting levels. So you're already at your 78.6. So that's 45.14. You're kind of right at that today. I have a 47.59, and then a bigger move would be up to 51.78. So this is really where they're projecting. in terms of, again, there's other Fibonacci's in here, but these are the levels that are built into this system at the moment. So those would be a couple levels for you on that one.
Perfect. Next symbol was CVNA. I think, is that Carvana?
Carvana. So Carvana had a big gap today because of, sorry, that didn't take, CVNA. There we go. Carvana, big gap today because they're going the S&P 500. So I think this one, honestly, my personal opinion, I think this is ridiculous that they actually selected this stock, because if you look at CarMax has similar financing, and I would say they are in the same boat, right? Carvana is not doing much different. You start to look at their paper and everything else associated with it, looks pretty lousy. So if you're in this one, I would stay in it until you start to see a reversal. If you see a reversal, I'd be very careful of the gap, because if the shit hits the fan, I think this could be a name that, especially in the private lending, if you start to see some, more of these companies that are associated with private lending go under, I think this could be one that starts to fail quickly. But for the most part, I think you're going to have a bid underneath of this because it's going in the S&P and it's going to continue to move. So I would be the same thing. I would probably use a Fibonacci. Now, the problem with the Fibonacci on here is you don't have much data because of how look, I think you got to assume maybe people are betting for this to go into the S&P, that there was a probability there, market cap, amount of money they make, right, all that fun stuff. So there was clearly a bet. So I would have to do a fib, but I probably have to do the fib off of maybe like an intraday chart, something like maybe a 1 hour, see if I can get some data there. So I'd probably have to use something like, see if I can go back and do that. And I think I got it there. So that would be something like this to, let's see, the high is right about there, and then back to pull back the low. And then we can zoom in a little bit more. So let me just do this, move this whole thing down and move this up, because this has got a lot of potential in terms of if they start to run it through the highs here again. So this is on an hourly chart. And next couple levels for me, and I apologize, I got to kind of squint on this one, but 461, 470, 477, 484, the next couple levels on that.
Cool. Last one before we get out of here is RKLB.
Rocket Lab. So RKLB, and this is one we've been watching a lot, and we have a lot of guys that have been trading this because it's a relatively cheaper stock, right? So it only moves about $1 a day, but then you get these bursts that are moving a couple of bucks. So I like that it took out the high today. I don't like that it basically reversed all the way back off. So I would probably use something like the high here and be playing for, basically some of this retracement back in here. So once you have data back here, then you want to use the prior data where it's resisted in the past. So I'd probably be using something like maybe that swing high up there, 54. The next big swing high up there is about 57. So, every $3 you could potentially roll. If it gets through there, you're going to have a nice cup and handle basically forming. So again, or at least a cup, maybe you start to then get a retracement on it, and then it could start to, start to rock and roll to the upside even more. But it's been on fire. Just got to keep in mind, it's come from 37 and you're already at 52. So it's getting a little bit to the point where it's overbought, but I would continue to stay in this one. I think it's still pretty strong.
All right. Well, there you go. Thanks for another great episode, Ryan. Anything else you want to say to the community out there before we go?
No, I know a couple of you have signed up. We are working. I know there's been several requests to have us connect to interactive brokers. We are actually pursuing that because we actually have a partner that we can connect through. So we are working to see if we can get that done, because I know you have a lot of interactive broker guys on your that subscribe to your services. So we are working on that. So we will, once I have that, I'll let you know. But if anybody wants to give a trial of OptionsRobot, you can just go to the webpage. We've done some updates in terms of the webpage. You can kind of see what's in each little service. But again, we're in December now. So I got to create a new coupon code for you guys. Let's do, what should we do? How we do Jingle. JINGLE. We'll do Jingle as a coupon for you guys. So anybody that's interested, come sign up. You get the 14-day trial. You'll like it, and you can get the coupon code along with it.
All righty. Jingle, everybody. We did have a shout out for E-Trade. I don't know if you're close to E-Trade or if that's something
E-Trade. So it's funny. The partner we're trying to go with that has some of these connections is the two they said are the most difficult: interactive brokers and E-Trade. So we are working through them to see if we can get that connectivity. But I've had several requests for E-Trade. Yeah, they're all right up there. They're all the big guys. There's a lot of people. Obviously, Interactive Brokers has a lot of people, but they don't make it easy for the guys that want to do the API. So I know you've looked at it as well. It's a tough one to kind of handle.
It is tough. It is tough. But Ryan, thanks for doing this for the Chameleon community and everyone who's joined us today. Super helpful. Thumbs up are happening on the chat, which is nice. So great job, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you next Monday. Same bat time, 4:30. Thanks, Ryan.
Sounds great. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining another Market Chameleon webinar. Remember, we're live with Dimitri tomorrow, 9 a.m. Thanks for Ryan for bringing another spectacular webinar, some great insights, and it's a great tool, OptionsRobot. So I would recommend everyone give it a try. Everyone have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.